In 1965, three engineers at a tractor company rolled a bare chassis onto a stand at the Turin Salon. It had no doors, no paint, and completely lacked an exterior body. Visitors walked up to this exposed metal skeleton and immediately started placing orders. They were committing large sums of money to a car whose final shape did not yet exist. What those buyers were actually paying for was the layout. They were buying into an architecture, a large V12 engine turned sideways, mounted transversely in the middle of the frame, right behind the driver's seat. Up to that point, nobody had successfully engineered that specific mid-engine arrangement into a high-performance road car. Those buyers opened their checkbooks for a mechanical idea. Deep market demand is driven by the structural arrangement of a product, completely independent of the exterior styling that eventually covers it. The engineers who built that chassis, John Paolo de Lara, Paolo Stanzani, and Bob Wallace, did the work on their own time. They designed the prototype at night, completely off the clock. They operated in secret because they had to physically prove the layout would work. They needed to show Ferruccio Lamborghini a rolling prototype to convince him it wouldn't bankrupt his tractor business. The defining feature of this project was its sequence. The mechanical exploration happened entirely in the dark. The official permission came second, and the completed body, drawn by Marcello Gandini at Bertone, arrived last, debuting a full year later at Geneva. The chassis was a concept phase with zero institutional friction. Finding out if a structural idea works requires a window of exploration entirely free from justification or corporate gates. Fast forward 60 years. Lamborghini is celebrating that original chassis with a tribute, the Revuelto Miura 60 homage. They are building exactly 99 units. The spec sheet for this edition includes 9 unique exterior colors, matching wheels, gloss black rear badging, interior seats with heritage stitching, and a numbered carbon fiber plaque. Look closely at that list. If you strip away the paint, the stitching, and the badges, the internal skeleton of the vehicle is entirely unchanged. Every single modification is applied to the outermost surface. The bespoke tailoring applied here requires highly skilled, difficult craft, but it highlights exactly how modern vehicle programs operate. Today, by the time a design program reaches a point where it wants to honor its own history, the internal structure is totally locked. Surface specification is the only creative layer left open to change. It is easy to look at special edition colors and assume the modern industry has simply lost its appetite for risk, but anyone who builds physical products knows that is false. This graph tracks the core economic shift. In 1965, exploring a new architecture cost 3 engineers and 1 metal frame. Today, it's a multi-million-dollar industrial gauntlet. Companies must pay for heavy factory tooling, complex crash simulations, massive supplier contracts, and strict government homologation. That financial weight forces companies to commit to a foundational architecture immediately. The foundation has to be locked in long before the ideas can be thoroughly tested or questioned. Industrial friction stifles architectural exploration. The modern process forces teams to make the most expensive decisions early, leaving them to figure out the consequences later. If we go back to the modern Revuelto and look past the anniversary paint colors and the carbon fiber badges, we find the actual tribute hidden in the spec sheet. The modern car is powered by a naturally aspirated V12 engine, mounted in the middle, right behind the driver. The layout introduced in 1965 is exactly the layout used 6 decades later. The legacy of a product survives in its hardware. It lives in the foundational engineering decisions that dictate how a machine works, not the labels applied to the exterior. Building a product with that kind of lasting permanence requires teams to fiercely protect their concept phase. The decisions that are ruinous to change later, where the engine sits, the width of the stance, where the human operator is positioned, must be resolved before anyone commits to an exterior shape. We have to make architectural exploration fast and cheap again. Designers need the freedom to interrogate every angle and structural layout before the heavy costs of factory tooling shut the window entirely. At Depix, that is the exact purpose of the concept phase, because the best ideas are ordered before they have a body.